Is your father's music still present in the mind of the Nigerian audience?
Of course, not only Nigeria, I think all over Africa, Fela's message and his music is very present in our minds. You know, it inspired the whole generation. You know, yeah.
And you became the lead singer of the band in 1997 when you was just 14.
Yeah.
Still a pupil. So who decided to hold the band together?
Well, it was me. It was me because the family didn't want the band to stay because they didn't see it as important. You know, but I've been playing with the band since I was 8. You know, so 6 years before my father died anyway. So I just said no, it's impossible. You know, Fela's band means a lot to Africa and African music and African art. So we need to stay and keep the band together. You know. A lot of people didn't believe in the band, even people in the band, so most of them left, you know, but the ones that stayed, you know, we actually believed in Fela's message and we kept working at it.
And what about the time between 1997 and 2007 when you published the first 12-inch?
Well, I guess we were paying our dues, you know, because after Fela, the band had to start all over again. And I was pretty young, you know, and Afrobeat is not music you make as a young person, I think. Afrobeat is a decision you make. It's not just music, you know, it's a lifestyle. If you decide to be an Afrobeat musician, you have to decide to dedicate your life to the music. So I wanted to be sure, you know, so that was part of it. And also, you know, it takes time for you to get a record label, for you to, you know, get a good producer to do your album and everything. So the first 10 years are always the hardest.
You were cited that with the actual album, you was more confident in yourself to make your own music compared to the first album.
Yeah, of course. You know, for me, you know, anytime something is new, everybody is skeptical, you know. So for my first album, you know, you're wondering how people take it, you know, you are bringing the sound back the way it was, you're not trying to Americanize the music, you know, so you're always wondering if people will accept the real music, you know. So after I realized that the real music, people still loved it, you know, it was easier to make the next album. You know, I just had to make sure that the sound was improved, was new, was fresh, you know, and then, you know, I was sure it was going to be a good album, so I had more confidence doing it.
What about the cooperation with Brian Eno and Sean Reynolds? So was it a special experience?
Yeah, well, you know, Brian is really, really cool because he has been a big supporter of my career for 2 years already before he decided to do my album, you know. And he did it for nothing, you know. It was not a money thing at all, you know. So for me, you know, this album, you know, is everybody that is involved on the album worked on it from their heart, you know. And I think that's one of the reasons why the album is so special as well, you know. So it was a good feeling all the while. Brian is a genius, a great guy, you know. And I think when it comes to sound, there's nobody in this world that understands sound like Brian, you know.
And what about the sound is Afrobeat, pure Afrobeat of the music, but what is your special thing to it in the new album?
Well, I think my special thing to it is my personality, my reasoning, my mind, you know. I think this is where everybody is special, you know. So when anybody does anything, your mind has a big role to play, you know. And this is what makes every artist different from every other artist. We can have 50 rock bands, you know, and what makes one band greater than the rest is their mind, their personality, you know, their musicianship. And I think this is what I bring to my own music to make it special.
I wrote one citation from you that you said pop music today is all about me.
Yes, I think commercial music is about selfish music, you know, things to make people feel happy about themselves. You know, it doesn't talk about what is really happening in the world or how to improve the lives of most of the people in the world, and most of the people in the world are suffering. You know, so pop music is only for kids to make them happy, you know, make kids fantasize, you know, dream about good life, you know. I think that's selfish music.
But the political stance isn't out of date?
No. I think politics, African music and our politics in Africa cannot be separated. African music has to stand for something. African music, African art in general, has to represent the people of Africa and what they're going through and what they truly feel. Yes.
But isn't it sometimes frustrating because you have to handle with the same topics as your father did?
Well, I think it's not frustrating because it's frustrating because you expect after so many years for Africa to have changed, but the fact is the same thing is still happening in Africa, and now we won't have more people suffering than they were in the 70s. So I think the message is more relevant now than ever before. So for me, it's frustrating but not boring.
And your job is still important.
Yeah, for sure.
And how do you connect with the young people, the kids? I read that you are influenced by hip hop, for example.
Well, I was, not by this new hip hop music. Growing up in the 90s, lots of good hip hop bands came through, and the sounds that were created back in the day, something that stays with you. You enjoy those sounds, but I wouldn't say I'm influenced now so much by the hip hop that is being made today, because I think the music has really gone down. It's all bam, 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 bam. Yeah. But for me, young people are inspired by positivity, and as long as you can make good positive music, young people will be inspired. It's just that in the industry today, so much money is spent on commercial music and the publicity and advertising that it's difficult to compete, without millions of dollars backing you to get the attention of young people. But I think, if you keep working hard and keep making music and we stay in there, definitely we keep influencing more and more people.
And in Nigeria today, the information we have, it's a state, a country in turmoil. It's chaotic. Is it a false impression that we have? Or?
No, I don't think it's a false impression, really. It's not only Nigeria. That's the only part that, is unacceptable. Every African country is going through this, even South Africa. I think South Africa has the highest murder rate in the world. So it is important to know that Africa can be so beautiful, but right now only the rich people can see that beautiful part of Africa, while majority of Africans have to live in poverty and in squalor, in the slums. But Africa can be beautiful. It's a very beautiful place, yeah.
Do you see yourself as a voice for the poor?
Yeah, as an artist, yes, of course. I see myself as a voice for the people, for the situation that is really happening in Africa. Yes.
In spring, we experienced a tremendous rebellion in North Africa, and it was really giving much hope for this part of the world. Do you think it could be served as a model for developments in Western Africa?
Well, I've answered this question like 5 million times. Well, the difference between sub-Saharan Africa and North Africa is that North Africa, they have the unifying culture of Islam. Even if Islam is not their real culture, who they really are, it's been around for so long that it is almost like a culture for everybody. So everybody can unify under the banner of Islam, which is not the same in sub-Saharan and West Africa. Like Nigeria, for example, we are divided along religious lines, ethnic lines. So it's not going to be.
But it was surprising that the religion didn't play such a great role.
It's not a religious movement, but they were able to be united under a religious, because they all have the same culture. Everybody speaks Arabic. Mm-hmm. They can all understand each other, and they share that common link. I'm not saying it was a religious uprising. No, I'm saying it was made possible because the people were unified already in their culture of Islam. we don't have that unifying culture in sub-Saharan Africa. Nothing unifies a whole country in any sub-Saharan country in Africa like Islam does in North Africa. This is the reason why, it cannot be really. And if you see, it is not really the secular states. It is that have the uprising. If we look at a country like Algeria, nothing is happening there.
Nothing.
Exactly. It's more the secular states that have it. So yeah. So you have to realize that it is because of the religious. But in West Africa, we're going to find our own unifying thing. People will realize something that unifies us. Probably is our suffering that will unify us, and we'll be able to stand up in that one voice, as in North Africa. Yeah, so it brings a lot of hope. And in West Africa, now, a lot of young people are interested in the politics, and they're interested in their votes and everything. So yeah, things are changing.
Maybe in that countries, in Nigeria, you have a pro forma democratic system. So the people are more tired, or not as.
Well, you have to understand that democracy in Africa, in Nigeria, is not the same as anywhere in the world. Or in Africa, our democracy is everybody in power was a former military head of state or a former military administrator. They all just take off their uniform, put on civilian clothes to get more, to be able to access more aid from the West. Because America said, well, we cannot keep giving you money if you are wearing your uniform. So they took it off. So it doesn't change the way we are governed. Democracy. The democracy in Africa is not for the people.
And maybe the development in Northern Africa will be the same. That new governments will make democratic systems, create democratic systems.
Well, whatever is going to happen in North Africa, we cannot judge. But what I know for sure is that we need time. This is something else that the Western media, and the West, not their media, they send their media, and they're going to undermine the revolution of the Africans. Because if you look when the English had their own revolution, the French Revolution, the American Revolution against the British, it was not publicized every day on CNN. It was not on the news every second. They did this revolution and then they had time to build on it because it cannot be perfect at once. It takes time and effort, and people will, there will be sacrifices that has to be made. But now every move that anybody makes in Tunisia or Egypt, they put it on the news. Oh, this is good. Everybody is involved. They should leave Africans to develop their to move on after the revolution. To stop making people feel it's an automatic thing. Yeah.
Okay. And the last question, maybe. Do you think you can spread a message in Europe and the United States in the same way as in...
My message everywhere is the same. I don't compromise. Anywhere I'm going to go, if they say, "Oh, you cannot say what you want to say here," I say, "Okay, keep your money. I'm not coming."
Okay. So,
one just more question.
Yeah.
But you have to answer to him.
Okay.
Is your music at least a little bit influenced by hip hop?
No, not at all. I think
answer to him.
My music is not influenced by hip life at all. I don't even believe in the hip life thing. Because this whole African hip hop movement. What I think is, I as a person, I will not accept Americanized Afrobeat. Somebody come, we are playing American Afrobeat. I will not accept it. Just the way I will not accept African hip hop. If you want to make Afrobeat music, you make Afrobeat music. If you want to make hip hop music, you make hip hop music. Don't tell me Afro hip. No. If you want to make African music, make African music. If you want to make American music, I don't believe in the mixing of both. I think it devalues the music anyway.
Music is a worldwide language.
Yeah, it's a universal language.
Universal language.
Yeah.